Hey there, my lovely people. I hope that you are having an amazing day and are so ready for the start of October. Even though I've gotten a few sort of iffy, sticky kind of downloads about October and November, it is still my favorite time of the year. Not only is my daughter's birthday on Halloween, but I love autumn colors. Of course, growing up in Michigan where there's actual colors, like an array of colors. Here in Colorado, it's pretty much yellow or brown. So, take what you can get and be happy with it, right? But autumn is my favorite time of the year. It is also, I love scary movies, it's just, oof, I love it. But it is also an excellent time to take an inventory, to do a little life mapping, to look at where you're at now and where you would like to be ideally. Look at where you were at this time last year and where you are now. And just when we consciously do that, what we do is we create the container by which we can actually see the progress that we've really made. It's hard sometimes when it happens in these tiny little steps for us to truly gauge and measure how far along we have come. But the fact of the matter is that if you sit down and you actually think about it, chances are you're going to realize that you probably have come a long way since last year. That doesn't mean that everything necessarily is perfect. That doesn't mean that you have everything that you want. There could be some things that you still haven't accomplished, and that's okay. The whole idea of this time of year is that we want to harvest. We want to harvest the gratitude for what we have. We want to harvest the gratitude for how much we've grown since this time last year. We want to harvest the motivation, the intentions, the inspiration for where we desire to move from here. Where do we want to go after this? What direction do we want to head in? The cycles of the seasons, just as important as the cycle of the moon and astrology. All of these aspects are super important when it comes to the flow and the cadence of our lives. We can begin to run in rhythm, and I don't mean literally run, but operate in rhythm with the seasons, with the natural flow of the seasons, making this for those of us, here in the Northern Hemisphere, getting ready to experience autumn, making this the time to really begin to get in and harvest who you've become in the last 10 months. What have you changed about yourself? How have you succeeded? Where have you failed? We are one of those households that we always ask our kids, on the way home from school, what did you do really good at? What did you fail? What did you fail or have a challenge with? Because we want them to understand that each are inherently still valuable. They're just as valuable as the other. They give us an idea of where we can strengthen ourselves, and they obviously show where we're already quite strong. So it's important that we look very objectively at all of that, not with the judgment, but with the utmost gratitude. Because if you can have gratitude for even where you failed, then you can correct the situation if it's necessary. If it's not, you can ask yourself, okay, did I fail at that because maybe it's not meant for me? Maybe it's just not meant to, at least for the time being, meant to be a part of my experience. Did I give it my all, or did I half-ass it? Now is a really good time for you to allow yourself to explore these topics and to dive deep into what the last 10 months has taught you. And this has been one hell of a ride, 2020, and it ain't even over yet, honey. So, I mean, this has definitely been a unique year in many, many ways. So I'm willing to bet on a personal level, it has equally been just as unique and just as different and transformative. And I would hate for any of us to miss out on the specifics of that, miss out on the fruit of that by just kind of lackadaisically going through the rhythm, these natural rhythms of the seasons, without really appreciating what each season provides us, the portal that it opens for us. Now, again, like I said at the beginning of the video, the energy as it's been channeled to me of October and November is likely going to be rather tense. There's going to be a lot that is going on in the external. And if you listen to this week's weekly consciousness report, then you know that we have a choice as to whether or not we allow that in our field, if we invite it into our field, and if we allow it to impact our internal state. But most importantly, what we need to understand is that, and I've said it time and time again, so it may seem like I'm beating a dead horse, but I say it so often because it's so important. We are going through a massive, massive transformation. We're seeing old paradigms fail. We're seeing, distorted institutions fall apart. We are seeing an earth that is, completely just, through fire, through tornadoes, through hurricanes, it is voicing its displeasure with what's going on. It is doing its own form of purging, which is really what is happening on this collective, personal, and planetary level. It's purging. And yes, I get it. It's horrible. There's so much that is wrong and sad about people dying or losing their homes or whatever it may be. But the fact of the matter is that before any period of transformation on any level, it always is preceded by a time of disruption and chaos. So though the energy may be tense, though it may feel like sometimes the ground beneath our feet is wobbly, what we thought to be true turns out not to be true. We may have a lot of cognitive dissonance because we are exposed to realities and truths that completely are in opposition to, the things that we've long believed to be true, to the narrative and to the story that we've accepted as true. So again, it's not something to fear. It is something to actually be quite grateful for, because we need things to change. We cannot continue doing what we've been doing the way we've been doing it. We have to begin on a collective, personal, and planetary level, begin to change and evolve. We are, we're kind of almost devolving. We're almost going backwards with many of the ways in which we treat one another, in many of the ways in which, oh, it's just business, people are losing integrity like they got a hole in their pocket and it's just dripping out. People are treating one another with such disrespect. We are so clenched to the outside world and attached to what is external to us. And I know I'm part of the problem too. I'm working on it as well. But there's so much about our experience right here, right now, that has to change. If we want, as again, a planet, a collective, as a person, as a human, if we want to have a future, we have to allow these systems to break down. We need to let whatever is crumbling to fall to the ground and let it be blown away, so that we can rebuild upon a foundation that we establish. That's why I'm doing the course, Waking the Feminine, because regardless of what gender you associate with, this is not about gender. I have masculine energy in me just as much as I have feminine energy within me. But we have had enough of the distorted masculine. The distorted masculine has created the entire system that pretty much everybody breathing today has been conditioned by, controlled by, and has formed their life and their beliefs around. And it is going to be the divine feminine. It is going to be the nurturing, the feeling nature, the intuitive nature of that feminine that is going to heal and rebuild what the distorted masculine has absolutely destroyed. So I really, mainly came on here for the intention of asking all of you, as we enter into the portal of October and autumn and the darker days or the darker nights and, less day, that you take time to really evaluate where you've grown from last year, in the last 10 months, where you failed. And again, not with judgment, but with a sense of satisfaction and peace, because it gives you the exact place where well, that's the exact place I may need some healing. That's the exact place I may need to strengthen in some way. I don't have to guess. I don't have to go, is it this? Is it that? What if this? What if that? That's your roadmap. Failure in any form is your roadmap. It's telling you exactly what to lean into. It's perfect. But also, I hope that you inspire yourself, motivate yourself in regards to where you're going, in regards to what you would like to accomplish, who you'd like to become, what do you want to strengthen, what do you want to remove. Allow yourself to begin to explore these topics. And let that be the space that you embody, instead of letting any wobbly ground or anything that's happening in the external to impact what's happening within here. That's how we can have the most peace. That's how we can stay in those higher frequency energies. That's how we can unplug from those 3D hooks. And that is ultimately how we are going to gain the deepest amount of satisfaction, of ease, of expansion on a frequency level and on a life level, is through focusing more on the things that I mentioned and just kind of tuning out the external for right now. We already know what it's going to be about. We don't need to run by, a play by play. We don't need to go through it constantly. We need instead to just settle into a space where we do that life mapping. We focus on those things about ourselves. We inspire ourselves. We, can totally change how we see any failures or mistakes we've made, and see them not through the lens of judgment, but instead through the lens of, yay, now I know exactly what I need to work on. I know exactly where I need to lean into. And that's how we are going to be able to get through this period relatively unscathed. I say relatively because, of course, shit's going down, but you get what I'm saying. So I wish you a wonderful week. I hope that you begin the life mapping process. If you're not super familiar with it, like I said, it's just kind of listing where you were last year, listing where you are now, professionally, in your relationships, personal, romantic, familial, looking at your spirituality, all of those things, looking at personal things. What do you want to do for your person? Well, all of that, looking at it from a period of where you were last year, where you are today, and where you would like to go. It sounds simple. It can be a little bit more complicated, but the most important thing is that you do it without judgment. And you do it without any characterization, and you allow that to be the space you embody, and just tune the external out for now. So I love each and every one of you. I want to thank you so much for tuning in, for watching. If you have liked this message, if you have found it to be relevant and important, I urge you to share it with your friends and family on your social media. Sharing is caring, my loves. So I will talk with you soon. But until then, I love you. Stay well, stay high frequency, and may all your dreams come true.